Room, come on in the room. The Bucks win it tonight, 128-104 over the Toronto Raptors on the road. The Bucks take care of business. We got no Trey Crosby the third tonight, no JT. So we're gonna keep this thing rolling. You know how we do. Don't miss a day unless that's like a planned rest from the Cream City crossover. But we are live. It's a Cream City crossover. I'm Chris King.
Justin.
Hey, man, the Bucks finally get back on track after a losing skid. This is what they were supposed to do, Justin. They were supposed to go in there and take care of business versus a really bad Toronto Raptors team, in my opinion, and it showed from their record. Were they 8-20 something? So the Bucks took care of business. This is what we needed, hopefully, to get back on track. No Chris Middleton tonight, but the stars were out for the Milwaukee Bucks. They had a triple-double from Giannis. GA messed around, got a triple-double. Dame, he shows up. He goes for 25 points, 7 of 12 from the field, an efficient night. So JT, I know if you guys have been tuned into these last post-game shows, JT, He's in that ESPN app, and he's looking at the game log. He's listing out the dates. Or not the date. Well, he was calling them tour dates. But the shooting, the shooting splits for Dame. Hey, how's 7 of 12 from the field? There we go. Yeah, I guess we'll get into this with some game recap stuff and what I saw from the Bucks and what Justin saw from the Bucks too. But first, I just want to say this. Like, watching this game, and I was super concerned because we were talking about this on last post-game show where, hey, this could be another trap game potentially with this Bucks team and what they've been rolling out the past couple of games. But it wasn't. And, I watched the first quarter, and I still felt like there's some issues with just not taking care of the ball, not valuing possessions. We saw some bad shots, some bad turnovers early, but they were able to figure things out, and that's what you should do against a bad team, and that's the expectation as, hopefully a championship contender with this Milwaukee Bucks team. So, like I mentioned, Giannis goes plus 27, 11 points, 12 rebounds, 13 assists. Taurean Prince, he got 31 minutes tonight in place of Chris Middleton. And it was shaky to start, I must say. But, he figured it out. He was a plus 30, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 of 7. And maybe this is – and I don't think maybe Taurean Prince isn't really a starter. But, he looked certainly more comfortable back with those guys, back with the main rotation. And that's what you want to see. Brook Lopez goes 6 of 10, 4 of 8 from 3, 16 points. 4 rebounds. Damian Lillard, like I mentioned, Dame time was out tonight. 25 points, 5 of 8 from 3, 7 of 12 from the field. Early on, it felt like he was kind of forcing it a little bit. There was a possession in that first quarter where Giannis gets it to him wide open behind the three-point line. He pumps and then takes a step in, misses a mid-range. But after that, outside of that, I thought he was phenomenal. Just that heater he went on, I think it was in the third quarter, really kind of put this one away, even though we were up a lot. So, yeah, Andre Jackson Jr. gets the start again, 5 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. But I feel like his impact tonight was significantly more loud than it has been in these losses. Like, you see him, dribble handoff to Dame, and he gets a wide-open 3, just creating. And then, he had 4 rebounds, 3 assists to go with that. And we'll talk about the bench, but Bobby Portis gives you 20. Gary Trent Jr.'s back. He goes for 17 points against another former team of his. And then Ryan Rollins gets way more minutes than he got against the Trailblazers. He only had 6. Now he had 18 tonight versus the Raptors. So come on in the room once again. The Bucks win 128-104. Yeah, so that's kind of what I saw. This is how you're supposed to take care of a bad team. And they did that tonight on the road. They started a little slow, but then they never let go of the rope after they got up, and they put foot on necks is what we say here on the Cream City crossover. We'll get to some of your chats. We'll read all of that. Once again, 128-104. Bucks win it. That's what I saw. Justin, what'd you see?
Yeah, man, it's good to be back, man. I missed Saturday. Y'all probably hear the voice, but there's no non-COVID illness here on the Cream City crossover. We come in here and we play ball. And I was celebrating the greatest fraternity's 114th year anniversary, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. So, man, I'm back with my guy, Chris King. Hey, look, Ajax was amazing. He did everything tonight. Stuff that doesn't even show up in the stat column, like deflecting loose balls up in the air so Giannis or Brook can get to him, getting in there, deflecting offensive rebounds, saving balls. playing tough defense. He blocked what was doing Emmanuel on the break with a wide open three, and he blocks it from behind. Just a great game from him. Dame is starting to shoot better, like you mentioned, 7 for 12 from the field. And let's remember, folks, he played 3/4 of basketball. 3/4 with 25 is amazing. Like you said, man, Ryan Rollins, welcome back. Just a phenomenal game from the kid. The thing that I like about the kid is he can struggle because he's young, but he's going to come back and he's going to play well. This win isn't really against a good team. We all know that. But we also know this Milwaukee Bucks team has found a way to lose to anyone that's possibly on their schedule. And the last time we played them in Milwaukee, we really struggled with that team. So, and remember, last time we beat them, we run 9-10. So hopefully we get on a little streak like that. Lastly, man, Brook with 1,000 threes in his career. I thought that's huge, man, considering the guy barely shot any threes in Brooklyn and LA, came to Milwaukee, became a three-point shooter. And then lastly, Dame passed Gary Payton, moving up to number 38 on that scoring list in 3/4 of basketball. Solid effort, doing what you're supposed to do. It's a good thing to be on the winning side. And like I told Colin where he's seen, man, 13 in January. We got 12 more to go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And congrats to those guys, Dame and Brook, on the milestones, and hopefully they can keep growing with this Bucks team, and hopefully this win sparks something in this Milwaukee Bucks squad to play like that and shoot like that. Listen, I think when you're dealing with a team that can get so hot and so cold, you may see some slumps like you did, in these past couple games where you're losing to bad teams. They did not let that happen tonight. They were making open shots early. It wasn't great, but they were able to figure that out. Check out some of your chats here. Bucks 920 says 22 out and everything looks better. It's not rocket science, man. Figured some of that talk would come. Charles Miller says everything clicked tonight. Dame broke out of his slump. And Taylor Thompson says, we badly needed this win. Hope we can now get back on track with some consistency. And, yeah, that's exactly what you want, right? Like, you want to see one win go in after you've lost a couple and drop some that you shouldn't have dropped. And that's the hope. And especially because now you're able to carry that momentum on Wednesday night into a matchup with a young Spurs team that could pose a big threat to your just old kind of slow on defense team. They've got some athletic guards, some athletic wings, and then obviously you've got Victor Wembanyama around in their lineup out. So we'll get into some of that talk as well in terms of, how the Bucks match up with the Spurs. But all in all, man, tonight it's a game that really you don't even really need to do too much analyzing. It's better team, better horses, and I feel like the Bucks did well defensively. It's Scotty Barnes. He was 10 of 18. He goes for 21. R.J. Barrett had 25. But outside of that, being able to hold Emmanuel quickly to 11 points on 3 of 10 shooting, and Grady Dick to 11 points as well on 3 of 12. Right, like those are some of the guys, and we saw them make a couple of plays that kind of expose that drop coverage, or they're able to come off a screen and knock some shots down. But outside of their first couple makes or whatever, I thought the Bucks did a tremendous job on those guards. Like, those are guards that can pose a difficult matchup for you, and they did well. So I guess my question would be to you, Justin. Like, what did you see defensively that allowed them to lock in and guard some of these guards that could have potentially had better games?
Well, that effort was definitely there tonight, and that hustle was there. I think they maybe had a closed-door meeting to talk about that, right? Grady Dick came to Milwaukee, and he had a career high against us the last time we played him. So I saw a lot of that, just a lot of guys just getting after it. And the other thing I saw on the offensive end was Dame and Giannis not forcing it, letting the game come to them and finding other guys, and those guys knocking down the shots. This is a very good basketball team when we knock down our shots. Now, these Toronto Raptors, when they came to Milwaukee the last time, they didn't have this starting five. This is their starting five. This is their full team with Quickly there and Barnes there. So I just thought it was a great job doing that, man. And, Bucks 9-0 with 22 being out, everything looks better. I think there's a lot of credence to what he's saying, too. And definitely Charles and Taylor, definitely their points were spot on, too. But for Bucks 9-2's point, though, we got to get a way to get this synergy together with Chris there as well, too. And I think a lot of that's going into him missing, where are we at, 23, 24 games, whatever we're at now. So we got to get this dude on the court. We got to get him into the offense, and we got to get him more confident so that we don't have these lapses like we've had the past couple of games with him, where he's darn near almost unplayable.
Well, it's a great point you bring up because I think a lot of times we can easily say that oh, since Chris is out, it makes it a lot better. But yeah, I mean, to your point, like he missed 21 games. This team is experienced without Chris Middleton. So it's no surprise that the Bucks may have moved the ball a little better, may have guarded a little better, and it opens up opportunities for the bench, right? Somebody to come off the bench and play more minutes in an expanded role like we saw from Ryan Rollins tonight, like we saw from Gary Trent. Yeah, Gary Trent's been getting consistent minutes, but since he's shooting the ball well and shot the ball well tonight, he goes for 24 minutes. And I want to talk about the bench. That brings us into, Bucks bench, which we have on our agenda. Bobby Portis, 20 points, 8 of 12 from the field. Very efficient night from the Bucks bench in terms of the guys that you're actually thinking about using long term. Because, Ryan Rollins shoots 50% from the field, didn't hit a three, but he got to the line. He goes 4 of 8 from the field. Derry Bird didn't play much, but he goes 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. And you can kind of feel the impact of these younger guys, right? Like you see Ryan Rollins out there soaring in. What do you have? 4 rebounds, 3 assists plus 9. He's kind of proven that that's the player he can be off of the bench in terms of just being out there and being able to match some of the younger horses across the league, his frame, his size, and his ability to move. And it's just the want to, right? It's the want to go out there and soar and grab boards. And that significantly upgrades what this team is working with. They needed somebody like this. And you can talk about Andre Jackson is that guy. You can talk about, maybe Derry Bird at some points. But Ryan Rollins really, and I'm sure I want to get some of the chat's perspective on this as well, is like this kid could be really big for this Bucks team in terms of just what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. Get a younger guy. Well, he's 22 years old. Get a younger guy who wants to be out there, who gives the effort, never has an effort in question. Like Ryan Rollins could be big for this Milwaukee Bucks basketball team. And then, down the line, we got some garbage time minutes from everybody else. Liam Robbins, hello, how are you doing? Welcome back. Marjon Beauchamp, this is an interesting case too because Marjon, obviously we know that the Bucks aren't thinking about picking up that option or whatever it is after the season, but I thought he played well in that Nets game when we came back from, 20 down or whatever to almost win that game. Like maybe you think about giving him a look if there's, ever somebody out or you just need some effort and energy in there and a guy with a big frame that can get some boards. Maybe you think about giving him a look. He had 7 minutes tonight, went 1 of 3 from the field, but that DeLon Wright makes an appearance. Hello again. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, like just from what you're seeing out of this Milwaukee Bucks bench, Bobby Portis going for 20, Gary Trent going for 17, and Ryan Rollins going for 10. Like, what do you think, Justin, the Bucks bench did tonight that kind of helped them, propel this to a victory? I know we obviously had the better team. We obviously picked up a big lead, but why do you think the Bucks bench was a good contribution tonight?
Well, I think the Bucks really moved the ball tonight. There was no more sticking in, hey, we're going to go one-on-one, and I'm going to try to take you and take you and take you. Everybody moved the ball. And when those bench guys came in, they saw the standard that was set by the starting 5, and they kind of picked it up and kept playing. I thought Ryan Rollins played amazing tonight. This is one of his best games as a Milwaukee Buck, in my opinion. And it's just good when this guy gets some time on the court. He shows you what he can do. And we've talked about it in numerous previous shows that we're going to need someone else to handle that ball besides Mr. Lillard at time. And then lastly, man, I thought in the brief couple-minute stint that he had, like you said, Marjon did well. Good defensive play, good take off the dribble. That three-pointer was a little bit somebody opened the back door to Toronto Arena. Maybe he was drinking the boys, and that joint was an air ball on the other side of the basket, but that's okay. He took good shots. And, DeLon Wright, he's sometimes it's just like nails on a chalkboard. But, hey, solid thing all the way around. Solid game all the way around from the first 5 to the second 5 to the finishing 5, man. And I just like to see us win. I can't take wins for granted anymore being a Bucks fan.
I'm trying to get Trey in here. I'm trying to see if I can get him in here. The cameras might look a little wonky, but I'm trying to figure that out. We got the main host back, so you guys don't have to listen to me yap and ramble. But yeah, I think Trey, you here? Do we got you? Hello?
I'm here. I'm in the building. Can you y'all got me?
Yeah,
Y'all
all
good?
right. So I'm gonna let everybody in on kind of the production meeting, right? So Trey, first of all, we need to push the laptop camera down a little bit.
Okay, down. We're going down. Let me know whatever we need.
Right,
I'm in here.
Yeah, I'll fix it up for you.
Y'all want story time?
Yeah, let's do story time. Where were you at?
My bad. Let me take this time to apologize to everybody out there and to you guys. I'm gonna be straight. I fell asleep. I swear, I'm watching the fourth quarter. I swear, this game was so damn boring. I'm tired as hell. I don't know. I've been working. Today was a long day at work. You know, it's crazy. I've been watching. What's the show? His new show on Netflix called? It's called Madness. I think it's called Madness. So I was up, man. I was probably till like 3 a.m. last night watching Madness. Had to get up early for work the full day, and you know, I knew I was a little tired this morning, but you know, just thug it out, right? You gotta keep rolling. And so the game's on. I've been watching the whole game, and I mean, my God, let me tell you, I was watching that game. Did you guys? You could have heard a pin drop in that arena. Like, it was the quietest. It was a weird game. He almost had a quadruple double. Man had 7 turnovers. He had 13 assists. He had 7 turnovers. It was so weird. Game was boring as I don't know what. I mean, the Bucks won, but no joke. It's probably like 5. It's crazy. It's probably like 5 minutes left in the fourth. I come up in here, set the laptop, I set everything up. So I'm all right, boom, I'm ready to go. Sat back on the couch, and I swear, I'm not joking. I woke up. I don't know if you guys have. I have Samsung TVs, and so Samsung, and I'm using League Pass. So my League Pass, it jumps to I have to not stream it, but I'm streaming I'm casting from my phone to the TV. So once the cast ends or whatever, I don't know if you have Samsung, there's a thing because I use Spectrum, but there's a thing called like Samsung TV. It gives you like these goofy movies or weird, but like this is on like you know what I'm talking about. So when I wake up, I don't even know what movie. I'm looking at Rosie Perez on the TV it's like Rosie Perez. Like, what this 90s movie on? I'm like, what is them? But I'm not even thinking. And I wake up and the wife's sitting on the couch beside me too. And we woke up kind of the same. I don't know. I woke up and then I look at her, but I'm kind of in of it, out of it. And I look at my jaw. I was like, oh. And she's like, what? And I was like, oh, it's a show going on right now. But yeah, man, my bad. I definitely just fell asleep. And I was like, all right, let me get in the building.
Hey, look.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was wondering when I didn't see the tweet on Twitter, like, hey,
yeah,
you know, what's your thoughts on the game or whatever. I didn't see that, so I'm like, okay, we gonna have to roll with it. But hey, we're all back, and hey, I'm glad you saved me because this game there was nothing to analyze. They suck.
That's the crazy thing. I was about to sit here and be like, man, and I kept thinking about it as the game was going on. I'm like, oh, it should be a good show because at least what we want to talk about, because you know there's not a lot to talk about. But man, so good the Jimmy Butler stuff happened because we're gonna talk about that and you know how we feel about the Chris Middleton and kind of all the things going into that. And yeah, you're right, man. It was like literally there couldn't have been more than like 5-6 minutes left it was like 5-6-7 minutes left in the fourth. And yeah, I did not see. I don't know who got in. Did Marjan get in?
Yeah, he
got in.
I didn't. I ain't seen none of that. I think the last time Giannis went out, did he come back in when he got the last time they took him out with the pinky issue with the
it was done.
Okay, yeah, it was right around then. It wasn't too far after that where I checked out and checked back in.
I was worried about you. I thought you had that non-COVID illness that sat you down for a while.
Now, you sound like you got the non-COVID illness.
I definitely got it.
Right now.
Yeah, you know, we don't sit no things out.
You explain that.
So
we
what?
go hard. No sit-outs on the Cream City crossover.
Oh yeah, well I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I know you was going hard. With the celebration. So, so yeah, man. No, Samuel J. Large says I fell asleep too. I mean, like you said, man. It was a rough one to. It was rough. I'll just say this on the game. I don't know how far you guys have gotten into the actual gameplay and what you felt about the play. It was like I said. I thought it was odd. Dame played very well, of course. Knocked down shots, looked like the Damian Lillard you want to see. I thought you talking about like Ryan Rollins, a guy. I mean, was phenomenal impact tonight. AJ Green got to clean up the fouls a little bit. But the takeaway that I came from it, I'll say this. I want to. I guess I kind of ask you guys. This is what I saw. Yes, the Bucks looked fine. I was fine with the way they played. Still thought the effort energy was low throughout a lot of the game. Outside of Andre Jackson Jr., thought he was all over the place tonight. But was this more? We keep going, always asking if the Bucks are back. Was this more about the Bucks, or was this, to me? I looked and I saw a Toronto Raptors team look like. I mean, they look bad. Like, I mean, somebody said I saw it. I mean, Grady Dick was out there. I mean, I just don't know what am I? I just don't understand. And then Scotty Barnes, I don't know what he's going for with the hair. I have no let that go, dog. That's horrible. That is whatever. That's horrible. Horrible.
I don't. Yeah, I definitely think the Raptors are trash. Like, just facts. They're a bad basketball team. But this was kind of a get right for the Bucks. And I'm not saying this is what's going to bring the parade down Wisconsin Avenue or get us another hat and T-shirt, right? But I think it was a good game to get your mojo back and start working on fundamental things we haven't been doing. I saw the ball moving a lot more. We had a lot of possessions where 4 or 5, sometimes 6, 7 guys touched the ball on the possession at least once, 6, 7 touches on it. So I thought all that stuff was good. And, hey, man, like we said earlier, man, last time we beat the Raptors, we won 9 out of 10. So let's go ahead on and win 9 out of 10. That's one more towards my 13. So I got 12 more to go.
To me, this says way more about the Raptors just being a bad team. I mean, I watched this game, and they draw a really, really spot-on comparison to that Wizards team that we just watched a couple times in earlier on in the season, and then within the past couple of weeks. Like, they don't really play like a team, and really, I mean, outside of, RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes, like, that's kind of what the Wizards are working with Jordan Poole, and then I don't even know if they have another guy. But, yeah, I mean, they're just not a very good basketball team, and I think you're able to mask some of your issues when you play a bad basketball team like that. But I still saw a little bit, like I mentioned before you joined us, Trey, I was saying how they still, early on in games, they're still not really valuing possessions. They're making bad decisions. And against good teams, that snowballs, man. Those rough starts, those turnovers to start, like, that can be problematic. And I don't think this effort would have beat a lot of teams. Obviously, the shooting did its part, and it could beat some teams by putting up 128. But I don't think there's going to be bad defenses like that, and you're not going to get as many looks like that. But it's great for the Bucks to just see a win go down again, and it's great for Dame to get back on track.
Yeah, I'm with you. You need to see a win no matter what. And yeah, I kind of tend to go that route with with just the way this thing ended. Toronto's 9 of 35 from 3. I mean, yeah, you're just not gonna. There was at one point the Bucks had 16 more made threes than Toronto. So yeah, you're just not gonna see teams that are that bad. I was in a debate the other day with my guy Todd Merrill, who's been telling me about how the Bucks need to blow it up. He was talking the other game about how the Bucks should blow it up, and he was every roster in the NBA 2 through 15 is better than the Bucks. Name a roster. I'll take our 2 through 15 over Toronto. I think there's more than a few 2 through 15s that the Bucks are better. Because again, you look at tonight's game, and it wasn't like Giannis was just Giannis from a facilitating standpoint. Yes, it was just such an odd game. I really couldn't figure it out. I know Toronto's playing at Wall, but Giannis, again, I don't know if he's still sick. I don't know if he's still kind of going through it. but from an effort wise, it doesn't look like he is always in the building. You know, everything's all the way there. And you know, of course, he ends up being a plus 27 tonight. So again, I think some of it was just about how bad Toronto was. But I'll tell you this. I think I'll be awake Wednesday night because the Dagon Wemby is going to be in the building, and you're not going to be able to sleepwalk through a game to beat the San Antonio Spurs. And San Antonio Spurs are not some world beaters. They're an average middle of the road basketball team. But if you don't come prepared to lock in for a full 48 minutes, Victor Wembanyama will, absolutely dog you. Like he is that good. You talk about guys like who has next. We talk about Anthony Edwards and talk about all this guys. Wemby has next. The only thing that will stop that man is injuries. So the Bucks have to be locked in when San Antonio comes to town.
Yeah, you got to hoop, man. You got to hoop Wednesday. You can't take him. You can't take him lightly. But Giannis mentioned that in the I think it was maybe a pregame interview he had where this non-COVID illness took so much out of his body that he said him and Dame have both said it's the sickest they've ever been in their life. So, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be credence or there should be credence on it. I know I feel like trash. I felt like trash the last 10 days. I'm not in this level of shape those guys are, never have been, never will be. But I think there should be some credence there. And then also, man, they talked about it a lot. Dave Kane, I thought he did an excellent job filling in for Lisa today, too. I love Dave Kane, too. I think he's a great broadcaster, man. And Marcus Johnson talked about how the Raptors were finally happy to get their complete starting five back together. And we struggled with this team in Milwaukee until like the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter when we beat them. So it's a solid win for who we are now. And then my question for you, and with your guy, 2 for 15, there's all these rosters that are better than us. Is he talking about from the eye test or is he talking about on paper? Because on paper, that's a big struggle. Eye test, we can go there with it.
Yeah, no, I think he's talking. I think he's talking about just literally watching the basketball team. He's saying, I'd rather be. This is why he's making the justification that the Bucks should blow it up because I'd rather. Charlotte. He's going down the line. Andre Jackson Jr. is not better than this guy. From a standpoint of. I'd rather have this young player. And I'm looking at him there. I'm like, would you rather have RJ Barrett? You rather have RJ Barrett over a lot of guys? You rather have Grady Dick over a lot? I don't know that. Like I don't even know that. Right. So yeah, I can't get down with that at all. And again, it's just, you're just not. This thing's not getting. And again, there's different questions as to what does blown up mean. Because in some ways you could argue, well, if they're going to move. If they're willing to move everybody but Giannis and Dame, is that blowing up? I still don't consider that a blow up. Blow up means, it's Giannis or Dame, one of those guys. Mm-hmm. I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening this year. And again, depending on, we'll see. Giannis, no. But I think, it remains to be seen what happens after this year, depending on, and it probably depends on, how they finish and what they look like.
Yeah, and the most important thing in terms of, the talk about blowing it up is that, like, we haven't seen Giannis and Dame play in a playoff series. And until that happens, I would be very, there would be a lot left in me to be like, yeah, let's trade one of the two if they haven't played together. Like, I would definitely want to see that happen before you think about that, at least when it comes to the top two. But, yeah, when we talk about Wemby and the Spurs playing the Bucks, they just lost to the Chicago Bulls. And they lost by 4 in a game where Wemby obviously does his thing, goes for a double-double. And this is a team that I do think has some cohesiveness. When you bring in a veteran like Chris Paul that, likes to distribute, knows to give the ball to Wemby, knows to get his playmakers the ball, like that's a team that could very well beat you. And so just hoping that, we get the right defensive assignments on Wemby. Don't want to see Brook out there versus Wemby. I don't know how that matchup would go if those two face off on one another. I would like to see Giannis set the tone early. Definitely, you still have the weight advantage on Wemby. The dude's skinny as stick. So he can Giannis can set the tone early. I love that he didn't have, the best scoring night tonight, because it bodes well for, a Wednesday night where he's able to take it to the young guy. And then I'll say, like, Giannis, I felt like today he did what he could. I felt like the Raptors were just trying to take him away. And, a triple-double definitely did a good job.
Yeah, well, yeah, I thought he facilitated the ball well. You just got to turn the turnovers. You got to clean them up. I mean, you just can't have 7 turnovers. There's a part in the game where it looked like that was the only way that Toronto could score was off of live ball turnovers. Bucks finished with 21 turnovers tonight. Just way too many. And Giannis led the way with 7. Brook Lopez with 4 of those things. You guys want to talk about are we good? Like, so I don't know how much you guys covered before I got in here. You good? You want to talk about the Jimmy Butler situation? All right, let's do it. And then in news that broke around this afternoon or so, that came out. Actually, our guy, the guy, I think his name was like Gambo. I can't remember what his full name is. He does radio out in Phoenix. He is probably one of like the few guys. He's one of those guys because a lot of times you get news from it's got to be Chris Haynes, it's got to be Shams, it used to be Woj, that national news. Everything else used to be kind of noise, right? And it's like, can you believe it? Can you not? Gambo's one of those guys that can get in there and will break some things. I think he actually was first on the Adrian Griffin to Milwaukee hire. When that took place. So again, he has his ear to the ground. And what I'll say about Gambo is he's not lying. When he hears things, he hears things. Now, again, whether they'll happen or not is one thing or another. But he's one of those guys, when he reports something, it probably is happening in some way or another. And when he went out and reported this afternoon, of course, we've talked about in the show, this program, the relationship going on with Jimmy Butler. He's been suspended by the Miami Heat. Gambo comes out and reports that the Milwaukee Bucks and the Memphis Grizzlies are involved in talks related to Jimmy Butler, which immediately got Bucks Twitter and everybody into a frenzy about, like, what does that mean? How do you feel about this? There's so many different directions and ways you can go and think about it. Do you even want Jimmy Butler? Forget who would it take. Do you even want Jimmy Butler in Milwaukee, right? He's going to be owed $50-some million next year. He's probably going to opt in to that. So that means you're talking about 2 years Jimmy Butler. You're talking about, and we just talked about, and I'll be a hypocrite if I didn't mention, we just talked about this guy the other night going in different places and being a cancer, basically every stop he goes to, being the common denominator, being the problem, being the guy that for either the org ends up, it never ends in this happy, hey, mutual parting of ways. Jimmy Butler goes out, burning bridges, guns blazing on the way out every single time, everywhere he goes. And he's doing it right now in Miami. I think you start there about, do you even want a guy like Jimmy Butler on your roster? You get to, does it help? Does Jimmy Butler, is he a help on this roster? And then you look at, okay, what does it take to acquire such a player? And again, I'll say this too. Again, I talked a little bit to Danny Levin. Danny Levin will come on the show at some point in the future here before the trade deadline and talk about the second apron stuff. He's our cap expert, front office expert, and insider. This is what I'll say, because there's so many people who just dismiss it, right? Like, you can't do it because you can't aggregate salaries. And it's like, some people know. I think when you heard this expression that people know, I know just a little bit. No, let's just enough to be dangerous. And there's some people who look at the cap and they know just enough to be dangerous, and they start telling you, they're just like as if they're an expert. And I'll say this all the time: people that do this for a living are very creative about how they can do things. What they can do is, like, I don't know if you noticed, the Bucks, if they moved Pat Connaughton, they could jump. If they were able, let's just say they were able to trade Pat Connaughton for basically pennies and get him out of here, maybe attach a second round pick to or whatever, they could bring, if they were able to do that, the Milwaukee Bucks would, at that point in time, they would be able to get under the second apron, which would then mean they'd be able to aggregate salaries. And then you're looking at, you could do a combo of Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez. and a Marjon Beauchamp type. You could do a combination of Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, a Marjon, and then Pat going out as well. You could do a lot of different things to get in to make this work. And again, I think the other thing people want to go, well, it's gonna be one. They think about trades in like 1-to-1 scenarios, and I'm just how many when you think about blockbuster trades, how many of them typically do involve 3 and 4 or 5 teams? Like, don't again, we do this kind of armchair sitting around, and it's like, and you get on your little trade calculator and you put in some like these NBA GMs and front offices, this is their job. And so they don't mind sitting around. All they got all day is to cook up 14 trades and working salaries here. They can do that kind of stuff and figure it out. So just because we can't and you can't figure out how this can get done, there are people who can. So my point in all to say is that it can be done. And I don't think it would be Damian Lillard, because there's some people thought, oh, it's got to be Dame because that's how you do it. No, I think it would be Chris Middleton. Now, would Miami do that? I have no idea. But the only thing I said, this last thing I say, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. Last thing I say is what this, and I tweeted out, what this shows me is that nobody is safe on this roster heading into for the next month. I think the deadline is February 6th. Nobody is safe outside of, I believe, Giannis and Dame. This lets me know John Horst is working. And again, it could mean nothing. This team could remain the exact same going down. I don't think it will, but he could make no moves. But it shows me that he is willing. And I think that includes Chris Middleton. I think that definitely includes Brook Lopez. I know that includes Bobby Portis. But John Horst is 100% looking at ways to advance his ball club, make them better. And again, to me, that's all I can ask for.
So y'all know me as far as trading people. I don't want to trade anybody, right? Just keep it. After the last 2 games, and I was telling Chris King before we got on the air at the J5 thing, I almost threw my phone off the stage in the club after watching the end of that Trailblazers game on the phone, man. I'll say this, man. Jimmy Butler is one of the best Marquette Golden Eagles of all time. He is. Do I want him as a Milwaukee Buck? Absolutely not. I look at it. He has 6 games this year of 25-plus points. His best game was against the Detroit Pistons at 35 and 19. 35 points, 19 rebounds. That's amazing coming from one of your wings. Is he a better wing than Chris Middleton is right now in the present day? I can't say that because you have so many locker room problems. And we all know it. Jimmy is like that dude that gets the chick with all, shout out to JT, we can go down the dating thing. Gets that chick, you meet her out, she got her representative, she got all her outfit on, her makeup on. Then you bring her home for a little bit and you start seeing her in her sweats and no makeup in that ponytail. And you're like, nah, we got to get her up out of here and go get me another one. That's what he is to me, man. I think that he brings trouble to this team. And I firmly believe if you bring Jimmy Butler here, he's going to burn the Pfizer Forum down. And when he burns it down, it's going to send Giannis elsewhere. However, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let you go, Chris, because I know we different. I don't think Pat Riley would trade Jimmy Butler to the Milwaukee Bucks for anything. Think about it. This is a dude that won't even let people wear Zoom freaks on the Miami Heat right now. He hates the Milwaukee Bucks, justifiably so, because we swept them. Should have had the guru present for that sweep, too.
Okay. I was the one on the show to bring up the past of Jimmy Butler and how he's gone into organizations and he may be the common denominator. However, bring him on in. Bring him on in. And here's why. Jimmy Butler is a dog. Jimmy Butler plays with tenacity. You're not getting anything from the regular season anyway, so to use that as an argument where, well, he's not showing up in the regular season, nobody's showing up in the regular season right now. This team is 2 games over 500. So I think the Bucks desperately need a guy that is a dog. Like, who do we have that's a dog outside of Giannis and Bobby, apparently, sometimes? You know, like, I feel like this team needs a competitive edge, and Jimmy Butler is that. He's the definition of that. And he is a winner. He is a winner, and you kind of saw how it didn't work out in Philadelphia when he was not the number 1 option. and they were decent. They were not a bad team. They had Ben Simmons on that squad, and they were still decent. That was the Kawhi year, right, where he goes and makes that shot in Toronto, or he's on Toronto and it bounces in. So that team was decent, and Jimmy Butler proved that he can be, kind of a guy that takes that backseat role, and I don't think he would have a problem with doing that. So basically, like, I'm all for it. If they're able to make this happen, it would be a really good move to me. I do think he would make this Bucks team better immediately, but also when you look at the playoffs, a guy that doesn't have the injury history that Chris Middleton does, I think he adds a lot to this team. I would love having Jimmy Butler as a Milwaukee Buck.
Yeah, I think, I'm looking at the comments. John Alberto says, came in for Herb Jones in a 3-team trade. One Punch Man says, you can have Jimmy Butler if you have a Udonis Haslem type to keep him in check. Quick Draw McGraw says, Jimmy's a leader. Bucks can use a confrontational leader on the team. Iron Man Clan says, Giannis, Damon. Jimmy is terrifying. And then King says, Jimmy's most definitely better than Chris. And people saying, stop it. At this point, I mean, I think Jimmy Butler is a better player than Chris Middleton. I would say Jimmy is definitely a guy that wears hard on the sleeves. So I think you look at the numbers, it's kind of misleading because I don't think he's playing fully in it. He's saying what he said the other day that, he didn't know if he could find the joy playing with the Miami Heat. It goes to you, and I give you another expression. When they say desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think the question is, how desperate are you? Do you? Somebody mentioned it in the comments as well. I can't find it, where basically they were saying you have to take something like you had to take a big swing or something like that. How the question is, as currently constructed, how close do you think this team is to a championship roster? That's your question. I mean, that's a legitimate question. If you don't think this, and again, we talked the other night, if you're telling me this is championship title or bust, and you don't think you're that close to a championship, well then, you probably need to make a championship move that may change the trajectory of what you're feeling like. And then on the flip side of that, you're looking at, because I think when you think about moving forward, year ends, if it doesn't end the way you want it to end, well, that means you're talking about Chris Middleton being gone anyway, probably. You're talking about Brook Lopez being gone anyway, most likely. You're talking about moving on from those guys anyway. And this is where another saying, it's winning a championship, it's a gift and a curse, because winning a title, of course, is a gift because you understand what comes with that. Everybody's goal is to win a championship, but the curse is you hang on to those guys maybe a little bit too long. Like the Phoenix Suns, maybe Chris Paul is still in Phoenix. And again, what they've done hasn't worked, but maybe Chris Paul's still in Phoenix if they had won a title and they're feeling like, oh, you almost got to try to feel like you can recapture that magic. And at some point you have to realize the magic is gone. And I don't know how long you keep. I think one more year of failure in the playoffs, people would definitely understand it. I think people keep trying to get to, Chris, in 2021, you remember this? I remember it. And I'm appreciative for it. I don't know if it's there. I don't know if that guy's there anymore. And again, it's an I don't know. Maybe he is, but how can you seriously sit back and call yourself trying to win a championship if you're waiting this long to find out? I know for a fact Brook Lopez is not the same guy. Like Chris Middleton has some injuries, so he's something in it. Brook Lopez has been relatively healthy and in the lineup for the majority of the time. He's not the same guy as 2021 Brook Lopez. Like, we know that. So you have Justin, look at you. Tell me Brook Lopez is good now as he was.
You said he's been healthy in the lineup. He missed a whole year with back surgery.
No, that's okay. That was the year after. But he was back all last year. I'm just saying generally. I'm saying he don't miss. Yes, he missed one stretch of time. Chris misses in and out all the time. Brook Lopez, outside of, yes, he missed a lot of the regular season. Right. That chunk, I think that was 2022. He was back for the playoffs. But relatively speaking, outside of that blip, Brook Lopez has been healthy and in the lineup. I watch him night in, night out. He's not the guy. He's not the same guy. And so how long do you – that's my question. How long do you sit around and say, oh, we can – you're trying to create this 2021 magic where you got pushed to the brink 7 games Brooklyn. It was a tough, hard-fought series to beat Atlanta. I know Giannis was out. And you got a 6-game series against Phoenix where you were down 2 to start that. So it wasn't like you just went 4-0 and were that much head and shoulders better everybody in the league to win it. The margin for error is small. And, yeah, when guys aren't playing like they were, yeah, you got to look. Again, I'm not – let me just say this. I would not be upset. I would understand it. And, again, I think what makes – you'd have to do some complimentary moves after it to make the team as good as it could be. But, again, you have to – at the end of the day, Giannis got to be locked in. Dame would have to be locked in. And if you brought a Jimmy Butler in, he have to be locked in. And if you told me – let me just add this and ask you. If you told me that you had 100% Dame, 100% Giannis, effort, energy, skill, all that, and 100% playoff Jimmy Butler, the guy we saw that ran Drew Holiday out of town. Mm-hmm. If you tell me those 3 guys were coming into your building for a 7-game playoff series, that'd be very formidable. That's all I'm saying. Very formidable.
It'd be very formidable, but that was Jimmy Butler 2 years ago. Jimmy, let's keep in mind, Chris averaged more than he averaged in the playoffs last year because he didn't show up for the playoffs at all. He got an injury problem too. So I'm not going to bring in another old hurt dude in here and give this dude $50 million. He going to make $20 million more than Chris. Then on top of that, be a cancer in the locker room. This dude quit. He straight up quit. He's Tyreek Hill. That's why they both in Miami together. They quit together. Quick Draw McGraw and Iron Man and all that. Dude, you don't bring a cancer in here to do that. I would be all for the Herb Jones before I'm for the Jimmy Butler. That dude is showing you who he is. Chris, you said so eloquently before. He quit on Minnesota. He quit on Chicago. He quit on Detroit. Now he quitting on Miami. I don't want to see that dude quit on Milwaukee. He probably would have quit on Marquette if he could have, but that was his only way to get to the league.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I get that argument for sure. Like, that's why I brought this up in the first place. But I just think to myself, I would be so much more locked in and so much more into it if they make this move. If they make this move, I think this team gets better immediately. Like, immediately, I think they get better, even in the regular season. There may be some kinks to work out, but at the same time, like, you've got a guy who gives that effort on defense. You've got a guy, even at 36, 35, didn't have to learn how to walk again in the offseason, right? Like no matter what the injury was that kept him out last year, like the impact of the injury on Chris, significantly worse than what it's done to Jimmy Butler, I think, in my opinion. So I think he gets in the lineup and he plays defense and he learns how to fit with Giannis and Dame. I think that's a scary team. And to be quite honest, the more we talk about it, the more I want this to happen. Like, this would be like me imagining this right now is like, man, they have a real shot to do something, because somebody in the chat mentioned Jimmy Butler does well against the Celtics. Who's our kryptonite? Uh-huh. Who can we not get over the hump against? It's the Boston Celtics. I think this team has enough talent, obviously, to get there. So if you get Jimmy in there instead of maybe Chris, maybe missing game or 2 here there, I think you win a series against the Boston Celtics. I think you win a lot of series in the East.
It truly would be high risk, high reward, because I think, Justin, your points valid. They are very valid. Like could I see him blowing up with Doc Rivers? And yeah, I'm good off. I can 100% see you lose a few games in a row and Jimmy Butler's man. I can 100% see it. Him, Dame, Giannis, it don't really work. Connection. I could see it not working. You're not wrong. But I say, to your point, if Pat Riley wouldn't trade him to the Bucks or whatever, maybe. But Pat Riley now, and again, we kind of said this about kind of what happened in Portland with Damian Lillard. The Heat are not in a position of strength. Like, you don't, like, when a guy says he wants out, you're not negotiating from any type of a power dynamic or standpoint. And I don't know if it makes more sense if you have more leverage now or if you have more leverage in the summer. I don't know. But again, it's interesting, and I think it's what I'm just saying. It's what people have asked for. Like, if you tell me what this team needs the most, you could argue maybe another big. But a lot of people say, yeah, you need another wing that can lock somebody down. If you had Jimmy Butler in this lineup, you have that. You also have another scorer. It gets very scary. It gets very scary very quickly. Again, but like you said, he had to be locked in. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. It's high risk, high reward. The potential for disaster high, but the potential for, if it worked, oh my God, they would be one of these. It would be one of the scariest teams in the Eastern Conference, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree, and I would join you in the parade in downtown Wisconsin Avenue again. Like, at the end of the day, we all want a championship. The last point I'll make on Jimmy of why he shouldn't be in Milwaukee, this is him learning a completely different system mid-year. You're going from being him in Miami, numero uno option, to now being 3. We've seen Chris tuck his ego and be okay with that. I think if we could get a fully healthy Chris, we can still beat the Boston Celtics. And for dude in the chat talking about threes rain down on your head, if Jimmy or Chris or whoever don't buy into this defense, the Boston Celtics going to rain threes on everybody's head. That's what they do. They shoot threes. And I ain't seen Jimmy kill a Boston Celtic for 3 years now. He been really subpar against him. So you living in a fantasy dream from 2-3 years ago too. So we got to look at what it currently is right now, in my opinion, man. Both these dudes can park right next to the door at the grocery store because they both got handicap placards hanging from their rearview mirror right now.
The last bit of insight I'll say is for the people who are maybe suggesting, Herb Jones, like the Pelicans don't want to get old Chris Middleton and give up that young guy that could be vital if they do stay healthy. So I think when it comes to this and it comes to the rumors about Jimmy Butler and the Bucks, trying their hand at it and at least getting in contact, what's making me most optimistic about this thing is that the Heat may benefit from some of our pieces. Like, you can't tell me Tyler Hero wouldn't be able to mess well with Chris Middleton, a veteran guy, a veteran scorer that can kind of show him the ropes since he's been able to elevate his game. Like, maybe they get a 4 like Bobby Portis as well. Maybe they need that. Maybe they need to balance out the team a little bit. And like you said, Trey, they don't have much leverage. So I think that this is a prime position for the Milwaukee Bucks to make a move, maybe more so than some of the other teams around the league when it comes to the deadline or it comes – because, like, being quite honest, like a lot of our players that we can trade that have a little bit of value, not a lot of these teams will want. So I do think that there's a little bit of – hey, the Heat might be able to use a couple of our pieces that we've been talking about trading.
You make great points there. 100%. Yeah, it's gonna be tougher. And that's what I'm saying. It probably is easier. I think people hear the name Jimmy Butler, and it's like, oh, you can't get a Jimmy Butler. It might even be an easier pull to get a Jimmy Butler at this stage of his career. You talked about him having to opt into a $50 million contract. That's probably easier to deal with than, hey, we could trade and get a Herb Jones or this young player, this quality young player. No, that might be a little bit tougher to do. And like I said, by the way, you realize you'll be giving up that first round pick. I think the Bucks have a 2031 first round pick. You have to give that up as well. So again, this goes this notion of the Bucks are going to blow it up. They continue to show you over and over and over again. They're committed to winning, and they are trying to find a way to win this year. And again, if I'm Giannis, you should be encouraged by that as well. That's the approach that they're taking. So we'll see what ends up happening, how they end up looking, what it feels like, and if the Bucks are able to do something. But again, to me, I'm just encouraged that they are that John Horst and company, that they're looking to make moves and they're looking to deal people. And then
Absolutely.
yeah, and somebody else mentioned as well. Iron Man Clay said Jimmy's also a small ball 4. So yeah, you could have this death lineup, as you say, of Dame, Green, Prince, Butler, Giannis. You could anytime you want, even if you need even more defense, it could be Dame, Andre. You could put Andre Jr. in for Torian Prince, or have Gary Trent Jr. in for Green. You could run a lot of different stuff. With if you added that, you could have that could change. You could change your team from a defense that I don't know what you can do to, and having to run 2-3 zone to I mean again, if you're adding Jimmy Butler into the middle of that defense with Giannis on the back end, your only so bad defender would be Dame. You could have lineups where the worst defender on the court is Dame, and that's when you're cooking. Because yeah, you run into issues when you run issues. I think more when Dame is not even the worst defender on the court right now. And if Dame could be the worst defender on the court, then you're in a position where you could do something there.
What do we think the package is that Memphis is off? Because he said us and Memphis were the two teams, right? We got any idea what Memphis is offering?
Yeah, I mean, would you? I mean, what about what's the man? GG Jackson. You get something like that. I know they have first. I don't know. I just don't know what the numbers look like. Top of my head for what
Right.
where their guys are contract wise. On
They probably
Memphis.
got a lot more cap flexibility than what we have as
Oh,
well.
I'm sure they. Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. I'm sure their pack. Let's be honestly, their package could and should be able to blow whatever the Bucks can do out the water. I would assume. Again, questionnaires. Would they do something like that? Again, you have a Marcus Smart. They could do. I'm looking this proposed deal here. I'm just looking. This is on. You could do Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, and a 2025 first and a 2025 second for Jimmy Butler. I think you had to come up off something a little bit harder for that. I don't know though. But I don't know. You could do something like that. Maybe the Heat would be interested. I think at this point, if they get a first round pick, if they get a first round pick for a guy who's telling you he doesn't want to be there anymore, yeah, I think they would. I think they're coming up pretty good off of it.
Well,
So
I also will mention, like, you talk about the potential defensive lineups. Think about the matchup nightmare this is on offense as well. Like, if you're a Boston and you know the history of what Jimmy Butler does to Drew Holiday, now hey, Jaylen Brown better be ready to defend. And then, Drew Holiday is going to have to be on Dame at all times. Like, it would be a crazy offense if they're able to get it right. Question is, would he be able to lock in? And that's, I don't know.
yeah, no, that's definitely a question. I'm just looking. Yeah, and again, I'm just looking at different stuff. I don't. Let me ask. Do you think there's a scenario? I just ask it because it would actually probably be easier for Milwaukee for a package for Jimmy Butler. Probably easier to do Damian Lillard. Do you think Lillard would be on the table? Because I would assume if I was Miami, they wanted Damian Lillard in the first place. That's the guy they would want to go with if they could pry it away. That's the ultimate why I don't think this works, because my guess is to beat Memphis's offer or whatever Memphis can offer, the only way I think the Bucks could beat it is if the guy you're giving them back is Damian Lillard and not Chris Middleton. Then but at that point, I don't think that it's worth it. I don't think Giannis and Jimmy is near as scary as Dame Giannis. Like, that doesn't, to me, that you almost create more holes.
Yeah.
Because then I'm looking at where's your point guard. Now you need a point guard. You need a lot more things, I think, to come together. If it's Damian Lillard, but that would probably be the easiest way to do it. If that was what the Bucks wanted to do, I just don't think they're going to be that motivated to especially because then you probably end up rolling Ryan Rollins as your starting point guard. I don't think you want to go there.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. You can start Ryan Rollins.
Yeah.
If you're able to get Scary Terry, then maybe you think about it. But I look, Dame, I wouldn't want that to happen. I still want, like I said, there's a lot left to be desired with Giannis and Dame, and we haven't seen it. So to me, it would definitely have to be Chris. Otherwise, you just don't do it. The amount you talked about it, Trey. The gravitational pull that Dame and Giannis create for shooters, it just wouldn't be the same. I don't think with a hurt Chris and Jimmy Butler, rather than it is with Dame and Giannis in itself.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I'm with you. Let me see somebody. Because it's gonna be a nice segue there. Somebody I can't find it now. But somebody said that if the Bucks trade for Jimmy Butler, Taylor Thompson, the Bucks trade for Jimmy, you guys have to do a live show from Curly's Waterfront, which is a good time to let everybody know that this program is sponsored by Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Going out to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, Pewaukee, Wisconsin, Lakeview Boulevard, out there in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Did you know Curly's Waterfront tonight? I don't know if you noticed this on the game. The Milwaukee Bucks Bar Network was the featured bar of the game. Did you see that? Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Get out there to Pewaukee. They were the bar of the game. And, of course, as you know, Wednesday night's game, you talk about late. But, again, I'll be up Wednesday night. It's going to be a big one. I'll be up. That one starts pretty late as the Bucks take on the Spurs. But it's a televised game on ESPN. So what does that mean?
$3.
$3 beers.
$3 bottles and pints for all televised Milwaukee Bucks games. Curly's Waterfront Bar and Grill is your Milwaukee Bucks headquarters. Also, Wednesday and Thursday nights, they're doing what they're doing Wednesday and Thursday nights.
Bingo, trivia.
Bingo on Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, trivia. And if you do well in bingo, you do well in trivia, you know what they're giving away?
Tickets
to Milwaukee Bucks games. Section 102, row 23, seats 1 and 2. Get out to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Tell them the group sent you. Tell them the group sent Crossover sent you. And again, just because, just for, just in case, I don't know, maybe it has NBA trivia for you. And they might ask you something like this. Can you name me the top 5 players in NBA history free throw percentage? Top 5 in NBA history, NBA free throw percentage.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry's number 1, absolutely.
Reggie Miller.
No. We have Steph.
Larry Bird.
No, Larry Bird. Damian Lillard is number 5 on that list. Correct.
Okay.
Look at that's 2 for Chris. Can you name me the three guys in the middle there?
Let's go Mark Price.
Mark Price, absolutely, at number 3.
I knew one of my white guys would be up there.
Yeah, the rest of them are.
Okay.
All right, let's go John Stockton.
No.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash is number 2.
There you go.
Looking for one more guy, and I believe he shot it. I believe he shot his free throws like awkward.
Rick Barry.
Rick Barry. There you go.
Good. With the granny shot, he was top 5. That's crazy.
Yeah. He shot 89.9% from the free throw line. Damian Lillard's top 5 NBA history in free throw shooting percentage. So again, good stuff there. Yeah, I see Quick Draw McGraw had Mark Price, had John Stockton, Nicholas Haslett had Nash. So good job there.
You can see the percentages too.
Say what? Yeah, I can see the percent. Yeah, I got the percentages over here. Steph is at 91.01. Steve Nash is at 90%. Mark Price is at 90. Damian Lillard 89.8% from the three. Yeah, it seems like it's funny. It seems like he misses one every other night. But again, he hits so many. I tell you, time to go to the bathroom and all that. Iron Man Clan TV says we need to try to have our signature beer at Curly's. Yeah, no, I definitely that signature beer at Curly's. And Quick Draw McGraw says Jimmy Butler shoots 100% for the foul line against anyone wearing green. Again, another guy. The only thing I'm about to say about Jimmy is just another guy that can get you a buck. That can create his own shot. He creates his own scoring. Can do a little bit out of it too. Again, we know Chris Middleton can do it. I just don't know the health level of a Chris Middleton. And so we'll see. Again, I believe some type of move will be made. We'll see what the Milwaukee Bucks end up doing and what that looks like. You guys will do game.
He can definitely foul bait better than Middleton.
He can. You guys want to go to game balls?
Yep.
For sure.
All right, let's do it. Game balls tonight. Where you guys going? I'll let you guys go first.
So I'm going to go Andre Jackson Jr.
Okay.
I just thought he did everything on the stat column that you could possibly ask for. Hustled, set the tone defensively. It really got us even in plays where we had some of those bad turnovers, he kind of cleaned up some of that crap for us tonight, though, with block shots, offensive rebounds, second chance opportunities, etc. So I go with Ajax tonight. No dividing, just straight up Ajax.
Here's where I go with the game ball tonight, because I thought this was kind of an unimpressive win just because it's the Raptors, and this was a win you needed to have just to get back on track. I'm going to give the game ball to a guy who probably woke up in the morning and put on a suit and tie and worked the phone lines. And I'm going to go ahead and give that to that man, John Horst.
Okay.
Because we have talked about on this show the concerns, and you guys in the chat have expressed your concerns about where we're at with this basketball team. And it was starting to feel like after last year, you got Pat Bev at the deadline. No other moves were made. But at least he's looking, right? At least he's looking. And that's what we want to see from John Horst, because he knows that there's something off about this team, and he gets the game ball for me.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a guy who got it back on track, who I was very critical of in the last game against the who we play last? Portland. I was critical of this guy. Passed the ball up to Bobby Portis for no reason. Late in the game, thought he should have taken some more of those shots for himself. But tonight he's 7 for 12 from the field, 5-8 from 3, knocked down shots at a high level, was very good. Only one turnover, plus 20 on the night. Damian Lillard, 25, 5, and 3. Just did a really good job of pouring it on, and in 25 minutes. So shout out to Doc for getting the win and getting those guys out. Much needed early nights for both him and Giannis. Those guys get the game balls. Again, good to have game balls going out to winners tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks improved to 18-16. And again, Wednesday night, got a tough one against the San Antonio Spurs coming up. Let's do a look around. Bucks win 128-104. The Suns get the win by 10 over the 76ers. Pistons beat the Trailblazers tonight. The Orlando Magic, man, you talk about a team's going to be a very tough out in the playoffs. They're doing it injured. I mean, again, the Orlando Magic are like the difference in the league. When we talk about like ratings being down, we talk about, the Bucks and the energy level. The Orlando Magic play one way. They're a young enough team, and they play the right way. Like every single night, they're coming out to not just to win, but to play hard and aggressive. And if every team took that mentality, the NBA would be you wouldn't have ratings decline if every single team came out and played like the Orlando Magic. And it doesn't matter who's going to come on the floor. You know what type of brand of basketball they're going to play. They get a win over the New York Knickerbockers tonight. Pacers win 113-99. The Pacers a game over 500. Timberwolves, they got some late game heroics from Anthony Edwards. They win 108-106. Mavericks lose to the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are starting to cook as well. And you look at Dallas. I believe they said that Kyrie's gonna miss some time as well. So Luka's already missing time. Kyrie's gonna miss some time. Mavericks are in a tough spot. And then the Bulls. How about the Bulls? They just beat the Spurs. So again, as good as Wemby is, and I think Kobe White dunked over Wemby tonight. Wemby was 23, 14, and 4 with 8 blocks. Man, it's gonna be a tough match. That's gonna be so fun to watch Wednesday. But Victor Wembanyama, I mean, or at least, the Chicago Bulls find a way to get the win. How about Zach LaVine? 35 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists for him. That's everything that we got. And I think, it's the game that the Kings are playing the Heat right now on NBA TV, 58-53. They're up. Go ahead, Justin.
In that Suns game, Bradley Beal had a good game despite all that stuff that's going on with him as well. And then, shout out to North Dakota State with the FCS National Championship tonight, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, I saw Dayton. Any comment on Dayton Flyers this week?
You could have did that Saturday.
Oh, yeah. When was that? Oh, they play Saturday.
Yeah,
okay. My bad.
The Blazers game. Yeah, I mean,
my bad.
They lost. They lost. They lost by 20 points, but they came all the way back, and it was they allowed it to get out of hand after they figured they weren't going to win it. But man, it was a tough loss. I think that team's got to regroup. They needed something like this. I think they're going to be better now throughout the rest of the A-10 play, and hopefully they, I think the bracketologists are talking about 15 or 13-5 should get them in. So even if they lose 4 more games
Okay.
in the A10, they should be straight. But yeah, you definitely got a wake up call there on the first road game of the season, which is crazy playing that in January when the season starts in November. But yeah, just tough loss. And then I'll also say this too. I saw you guys mention the Spurs game, the Spurs Bulls game. That kid Stephon Castle is a damn good player. I watched him on Christmas, and he could, along with some of their other guards and wings, like they could really pose a big threat to this Milwaukee Bucks defense and how they've been playing. So we're also going to have to lock in defensively against that team.
Yeah, no, you absolutely will have to lock in. And again, I need to see Dame cook up Chris Paul. So you can go ahead and make life hard and miserable on him. And again, it should be a matchup where for Dame, he should have a very easy matchup. Chris Paul is not going to stress you defensively, even though he did put up 18 and 6 tonight. He really shouldn't stress you just on you should be able to at least stay in front of him. It shouldn't be just blow bys and all that type of stuff. And the only thing I wanted to what's that?
Cheap shot you.
Oh yeah, you might get hit in the nuts. Only thing I wanted to get to, I don't know if you saw the lawsuit from at Fox Sports that's been going around. Everybody's been talking about that. I had just bombshell kind of stuff with. I'll say this, I read a little bit of the complaint, and from basically, I guess all I say is from what I saw, it's very messy. It reads more like a gossip piece that then it has employment claims in it as well. It's the hairdresser. It's the hairdresser from one of the hairdressers from Fox Sports, who was basically claiming sexual harassment. That's their main claim is basically some sexual harassment that took place. And to me, again, this is what I do for a living, so I look at this kind of stuff all the time. But if that's what your complaint is, hostile work environment, sexual harassment, et cetera, that's what you should be talking about. And to me, it definitely got a little extra when it gets into her opinions on. Like, there's a lot of just opinions that like have nothing to do with an actual claim. Like she mentions, well, this person having sex with this person, and I thought it was odd because they're married. And it's like that has nothing to do with like what's like that you think it's weird that's going on. So I say I always take everything with a grain of salt as far as like what's true, what's not true. Like all these lawsuits, what's typically there's. And like really anything with kids and how when you figuring out who did what and they're telling on somebody, there's one story, there's another story, and then the truth is somewhere usually buried in the middle. That hey, such and such kicked me, well, such and such hit me. Well, okay, well, she kicked you. What were you doing? Well, I was. And you figure out, oh, you were in her face and throwing spitballs at her. Yeah, she hit you. Well, shouldn't hit, but hey, you were all of it. There's always things that you don't know. So I guess that's kind of probably where it is. It sounds like if there's any of this that's true, it does sound like there's probably this culture around Fox Sports that you saw also at Fox there, which again doesn't surprise you because you saw some of this with the big wigs at Fox, who had the same types of issues with personalities there. So it doesn't surprise me that culture also translated into their sports programming, where you had weird things happening there. And just again, it's other thing. Hey, here's the other thing, folks. Don't message your coworkers, man. It just doesn't. It doesn't go. It just doesn't. Like why? It's because the only time it works out for anybody is if you are a subordinate, then it may work out for you. But if y'all on the same level, especially if you're above somebody, it never is going to work out. If you have this influence, you just can't do it. But like I said, some of the stuff I don't necessarily think is all the way true. Like I don't believe Skip Bayless $1.5 million for going to pay him one. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. But like I said, I think there's a culture around there of just like some issues that were going on. I probably do. I can get with that and think some of that was happening. But again, just goes to show you, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful.
So where I disagree with you on, because you do this for a living, and we want to keep the Crosby household paid very well, keep dating your coworkers. Keep this man employed. No, but I almost self-incriminated myself on some silly stuff. But 1.5 for Box is just that's crazy. Like that's just wild. Like everybody, we just gonna move on. 1.5. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Yeah.
So look, this is the part that sucks for me though. I think that Joy Taylor is she's done an amazing job before all this stuff came out, and all of her professional attributes are being diminished. And then little prequel to T's and Q's. I don't know how many times what's the boy named AB Antonio Brown can go on that trash list. But out of all this stuff going on at FS1, he wants to send it straight to Jamel Hill, which I thought was just absolutely
that was crazy. Yeah.
Like, hey man.
Twitter.
No, he's not.
These women are super talented. I don't know if it's true, if it's not true with Miss Taylor, whatever it is. I just hate that it has to come to this, man. But like, they gotta figure some stuff out, man, because you saw the same type of thing happen in the WWF, WWE. If you watch that documentary about Vince McMahon and stuff that happened, it happens with these men of power, and we gotta stop it, man. As a girl dad.
Yeah, all good points around. This is funny to me only because I love the drama. I live for it. Being on social media today and seeing how awkward each show was hilarious to me. Like, no matter, I mean, it was just like, it looked like a big elephant in the room. Joy Taylor all covered up, and then you got Emmanuel Acho trying to, I don't know. He's goofy. He's goofy.
He's always goofy.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just a real awkward situation there at Fox. I don't really have too much of an input, but it's kind of funny, I guess.
I thought Pat Beverly made a good point too, where he said, it's fun. Y'all cover yourselves like y'all, because if it had been an NBA athlete or whoever was, with the hairdresser, they've been all over this kind of stuff. It was a star. And again, that's where, and especially I say it really about NBA athletes who have their own podcasts, they're in the media. It looks so stupid when you're talking about all the stuff that happens, and then when something happens to you, that's why Doug Gottlieb, this stuff was so dumb when now I'm not on my own show this week because it's such a bad look. Like there's no reason to do it. But again, yes, when it happens to you and all you do is reporting stuff all day long, and you will go in on somebody else for doing it. When it happens to you and then you say nothing, again, it just looks odd. So good on. I thought it was good. At least Pat Beverly called him out, and again, that show. He said it was very awkward, all the things that took place. So it remains to be seen more about that and what happened. But again, what will end up happening, of course, is it will likely settle. The crazy thing is you won't know how much it will settle for. Like I'm not joking. Like these things can settle for like, and again, grand scheme of things, how much money Fox has. If Fox paid $100,000 for this to go away, you may think that's a lot of money. That's nothing to Fox. It's nothing to have this go away. $100,000, $150,000, nothing to have it go away. And I just want to say, people will say, "Oh, this is settled." That must mean that see, and it means absolutely nothing. It means they would rather settle it versus paying $500,000 for the actual lawsuit.
It's funny you said that because Sable settled her lawsuit with the WWF, WWE at that time in 1999. And then, just like you said, in 2002 or 2003, she was back working for the same company that she filed that lawsuit with.
Right. So whatever the activity that went on, either you were a willing participant until you decided that you didn't want to be, or it wasn't, or / it wasn't as bad as whatever you made it out to be in your lawsuit. But again, it all is a spectrum. It could be anything, but that's just how the game it goes, which is why I was kind of surprised. And while I'm not surprised at how the inflammatory remarks that were in the complaint, because the more inflammatory it is, the more embarrassing it is, the more willing you have a Fox to say, forget whether it's true or not. This looks bad. The appearance of it is so bad. I want it to go away. I will pay for this to go away because it looks so bad. those conversations could maybe not even have happened at all. That's what, like to me, because what I did, I'll say this one point. So she claimed Skip Bayless offered $1.5 million for it, which again, it just seems so preposterous. Because again, number one, offered that. Number two, it doesn't make sense. So this is where I was at. So your claim is Joy Taylor is giving it up for promotions, and somehow Skip Bayless skips over that. It's like, nah, I don't want to get her on the I don't need that. I want you for 1.5. Huh? And then all of that, and she's talking about all these conversations. She's talking to Joy Taylor like about all these conversations. And then, but somehow y'all didn't have a conversation about that. Like all these conversations take place about all things that were going on, who's who, and da 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 da. But you didn't have. I don't believe I saw where she had a conversation with that. Did you know Skip Bayless offered me that? Of all the gossip y'all been telling, I don't know how you didn't tell that. But somehow that doesn't. You kept that one to yourself. That he offered you 1.5 million. Like some of the stuff just doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. That part in particular does not make sense at all to me.
How much is the lawsuit for right now?
Well, you never know. Well, yeah, I'm not sure exactly. A lot of times, what you say in the lawsuit, if it goes to federal court, they're just going to say it's above $75,000. You want over 75. So I believe I just don't know if it's federal court, but if it's in federal court to get diversity jurisdiction, you need to have diverse jurisdiction, which is plaintiff different states, and you need it to be over $75,000, and so that's what they would. So as long as the threshold is above $75,000, it could be for really anything. I don't know what they want out of that.
Well, I hope she's getting more than 1.5. That's all I gotta say.
Right. Yeah. There's no come up there. Nicholas Haslett with the super chat. Appreciate you coming in. Say with the super chat says good win. Absolutely, it was a good win. And oh man, we're wild right now. Nicholas has not win $60 is the U.S. market rate. I have no idea what the market rate is.
I don't know what he's talking about. I'll comprehend that.
And then
quick, I didn't even know what that was until you said it.
And then quick Tom McGraw says bone, joy, and harmony. Y'all are y'all are wild right now. Okay, yeah, let's get up out of here.
That's why I hang out with clean nose brothers like yourself.
Yeah,
so I'll get no trouble like that. Hey, real quick, shout out to Bucky for that good road win against Rutgers University tonight, too. Can't leave my boy Greg Gard out. Stephen Crawl played his behind off tonight.
It's a good win for the Badgers. And speaking of that Rutgers team, man, they spent all that money getting Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, and they're not very good. So it's crazy to me. They tried to get like just the way NIL is working out now. Like sometimes schools are left with the decision of paying a top star or certain two top stars. And you give them all that money, it's not the pieces around them. Certainly begs a question of what's the right way to approach it, because it's obviously not that for Rutgers. But it's amazing to me how often we see great college basketball players as the number one option and their team just not be that good.
Yeah.
You talk about Ben Simmons at LSU, all the hype that was around him. You talk about G.G. Jackson when he was at South Carolina, they were terrible. So it is just interesting to an interesting point to bring up.
I don't know if you guys saw this. Somebody just sent it to me. I know you saw OKC beat Boston the other night, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on his Instagram, he has a picture. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went off. But he has a picture of him walking by, and Drew Holiday's in the picture. The guy's never did. He's in this picture, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is walking by, and he's flexing, says, "Scratching things off my bucket list. I can't go back and forth with somebody that's bucket list." Drew Holiday had 2 points in that game, so it did seem like a shot at Drew. And he's in the picture, and he just
Drew had what?
Drew he had 2 points. Again, he had 2 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Shai Gilgeous had 33, 11, and 6.
And that's the same dude some of these jokers be in the comments talking about if we had him on the Bucks, we'd be so much better.
Yep.
Twitter and all that other stuff. Come on, man.
Yep. Last thing I want to mention, I'm sure we'll talk about it all week. But I want to get your thoughts on Green Bay Packers, Eagles. That's the matchup. Your boy, Christian Watson, tore his ACL. and probably some more stuff in his knees. So he probably won't be ready for the start of 2025 either at this point in a contract year, which is another story in itself. But more pressing issues at hand. How does no Jai Alexander? How does this? Do you guys have a shot at beating? I'm just wondering. I don't think you do, and I believe the spread is like 3.5. I think that's generous. I think that is generous. I think this is. I really think this is more than a touchdown game. And if not, I give Matt LaFleur all the credit in the world. I think Green Bay's in some serious trouble. When's the game? Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. I think I was in trouble.
We might have to pull up to the cheesesteak capital. So first of all, I know my sis is watching the show, and she's a fan of those stupid Chicago Bears that beat our practice squad team and them other things. So shout out to my sis. That just sucks to be her. They won their Super Bowl Sunday, but so do I think we have a shot against the Philadelphia Eagles? Absolutely. I think that Matt LaFleur is going to have a great game plan, man. And I think the key of the game plan is the same thing that the Philadelphia Eagles game plan is going to be if your boy Hurts can't go. It's going to be give the ball to your bell cow, your star back, and control that game time of possession for the game. I think Josh Jacobs can make that really good. Now, as long as we don't got these safeties 40 yards off the ball with 15 seconds left on the clock on 3rd and 15, I think we'll be okay. Eagles are a phenomenal team. They have a very young defense. They got Zach Bond on the defense, Brown Deer, Wisconsin native, Wisconsin Badger. They're phenomenal. But this is what I was telling you when we was talking on the phone the other day, bro. You can't duck nobody no more. It's nothing but good teams left. And Philly's good. The Rams ain't the same team as what they were at the start of the year. You got Cup, you got the other boy, Pookaboo, Wimby Wamba cousin, all them dudes. So, hey, man, we ain't got nothing to do but shock the world. And then, I hope the dude Brenton Franklin listening because we're going to shock the world against Philly. We're going to go beat the hell out your little Lions. And you'll get my $50 back from that bet.
Real quick, I want to shout out Mono Lando popping in here after he says he went to the game versus the Raptors. That's dope. We appreciate certainly appreciate all the people who even make the time after going to the game and then tuning into us. That's awesome. When it comes to Packers and Eagles, I'm with Justin. I think the Packers can, if they can control the time of possession, maybe get those tight ends working, and getting Jaden Reed the ball. Like if they can do those things, now those are tall tasks against that defense. But we've seen Jordan Love win a playoff game before. We've seen him light teams up. So if they're able to get all that stuff working, I think it can stay at least within the number, and they might be able to get a win.
I'm not as confident. I'm just not as confident. It's just too much. It's too much. It's Saquon. I told you, it's the bookend wide receivers. Game plan should be good. Like I just think there's too much they can exploit. Even if you were to shut down something, they just to me have too much. I think again it would take a flawless game from Jordan Love, and I think you have to get. I think you got to go back to. I know he's been trying. We talk about him not taking as many risks because he was getting a little careless with the ball. I think you got to go gunslinger mode and like whatever. You go for broke. To me, Sunday's not the night, not the game to be passive or hey, I'm gonna try not to turn the ball over. Like I think you got to be. I think you got to be gunslinging. Like honestly, and see what happens. Be very aggressive down the field. Jaden Reed's not gonna have a big game. Would have to have a big game. I think you got to be all over the field. And I say this too. Don't be afraid to pull out the stops, man. Like your trick play, all of your plays that you think you can use that work, pull them out and use them. I want to give a shout out real quick to the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, who, if you look statistically, their last 10 games has been, I think he has like 10 more touchdowns than CJ Stroud. He's been as more yards than CJ Stroud. He's been by far the better player over the last 10 games they played. And he looks, and again, he looks like a guy, but I said to say Panthers beat Atlanta. I mean, and I don't know how many we throwing double reverse passes. Why not, man? Like go, you want to get a win, like go out and go get one. You got to make some of that luck. So go do it.
You can't take it with you. So
That's
go
what
ahead.
I'm saying. Can't
And
take it with you.
That was probably the best game of Sunday. I mean, I know out of Green Bay, and if you're not a Green Bay or Chicago fan, but that Carolina Atlanta game with Penix and Young going back and forth like that, absolutely amazing game. The kid Penix is super talented. Last thing I'll say about the Packers game, all the pressure is on the Philadelphia Eagles right now. We're not supposed to win this game, kind of like we went to Dallas last year. I'm going to ask both of y'all, if Philly loses this game, is the coach fired?
100%. The Philly fans will want him out at least.
Yeah, Philly fans.
Yeah, sometimes that is enough. Them boys with the Boo Birds, how they do the Sixers. It would be even worse if they brought him back.
It's funny. I don't think he would be. I really don't. But I think the noise and pressure would be high to get him out of there. Lastly, speaking of coach got fired, do you agree, Jerome Mayo got just 1 year out in for the Patriots? You had an issue with his termination?
I feel like it was a little bit premature. Like I said in our group text, it reminds me a lot of Ray Rhodes, the coach that came in for Green Bay. He had 1 year. It's kind of tough to prove yourself in 1 year. I think a lot of the stuff, the reason why he got fired, and Kraft could say what he wanted, he kind of alleviated that. He kind of set the brother up for failure. But I truthfully believe he was fired because they won that last game and they lost that number 1 pick. Same type of thing with Lovie Smith in Houston, in my opinion.
Shoot, I don't know. He might have already knew he was out. Maybe that's why they did win the game.
They played Joe Milton. Like, it wasn't even like it was Drake May out there.
Yeah, he played well though.
He did. He did.
They had all the questions about his accuracy, and he was pinpoint. I think he was like 10 for 10 his first 10 passes, 2 touchdowns. No, but I don't think this was premature, and I think the reason being is he was doing too much in the media, man. Doing too much, bashing the players, doing all that stuff, and that doesn't, I guess that could light a fire under your guys if you even had a shot, but this team never had a shot. And so to go out there and call your players soft and all that stuff, and in most of the case, like, it's not true either. Like, I think some of those, at least the defensive backs and some of the guys on that defense are not very soft. I just think that their team in general is just not that good. But to me, like, I think he went away from a lot of the stuff that was working. Like, week 1, you beat the Bengals by just running Ramondre Stevenson. Like, all you did was, again, controlling the time of possession. They did that versus a good Bengals team, decent Bengals team. And that might have been the loss that kept them out of the playoffs, really. But, yeah, I just think that it was, he went away from the stuff that was working. So, maybe they, after the draft, they think they need a fresh face in there. But it does also feel like a ploy that they already knew who they want, and that could potentially be Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think that's more than anything. They knew what they wanted. This is their opportunity to go get Vrabel, which is interesting. But to me, I just think it's a bad look when, you're not really – I just think it's a bad look when you give a – like you said, I think you set him up for failure. Like, he didn't really have a chance to compete with that roster. Like you said, you mentioned it. The roster wasn't all that good. Like, what did you expect him to do with the team? So I just hate that, he didn't get an opportunity to prove himself, didn't get a real opportunity, a fair shake at trying to. You give a guy a job, you got to to me, kind of same thing with Adrian Griffin. You give a guy a job, you got to give him the opportunity to work. And not only did you give him a job, but I think it'd be different if he was a rookie head coach. So what do you fired a rookie head coach in Jerome Mayo who when you hire a rookie head coach, you have to have a level of grace with that guy anyway, because you have to understand he's a rookie. You have to, and if you're not going to have it, don't hire a rookie head coach. Don't do it. So that's what I didn't like about it. And again, same thing with Adrian Griffin stuff. Don't hire a rookie head coach, a first-year head coach, if you're not going to allow him the grace to find himself within that coaching situation.
But at least with Dr. Griffin, it was veterans on the team that were trying to get him out of there, right? We talking about the Patriots with a bunch of young dudes. There are no veterans on there that even have the gall to say, hey, we want a different coach.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. Well, yeah, man. So good stuff. Good conversation there. Bucks beat the Raptors 128-104. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, joining us as the Bucks get an easy win. My apologies again for falling asleep into that game and joining you guys late. So I'll try and get a Starbucks run for when the game next time. Make sure I'm good on the caffeine. Yeah, man, I want to thank again. Just you could have been in the world, but you're here with us. Appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, all the good stuff to the Cream City Crossover. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about the Cream City Crossover. And we'll continue to give you this great content all the time, talking Bucks, talking everything outside of it as well. I want to thank our sponsors tonight, the feature bar of the game, Milwaukee Bucks, Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, proud sponsor of the Cream City Crossover. Tell them the Guru sent you. Go down there. Tell them the Cream City Crossover sent you out to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Any final words, you guys?
Hey, man, have a good. Let's get ready for Wemby coming. It's the big one.
Yeah, like I said, we got to lock in defensively. Their guards are pretty decent, wings decent, and then Wemby anchoring the whole thing. So good to see a win again, and good to have a game-winning post-game show. And hopefully here's cheers to many more, and maybe some with Jimmy Butler.
There we go. Okay, put it in the air. All right, man. This has been a Cream City Media Group production from the Guru Truck House III.
Justin.
Chris King.
If I am the enemy, it's only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wooden.